Hello everyone, welcome again. This is a short informational material about changes in incoming update 6.10, about all buffs, nerfs and the changes that we're gonna face within probably next days. So I would like to bring them all together and then just introducing that small material. So today we are starting with buffs and nerfs. The first important thing is T-92E1 of American light tank on tier 9. It's the first tank with guided rockets, and we have nerf for those rockets. Now, first thing, penetration from 230 to 210 millimeters, and velocity from 920 to 690. So it's about 25% slower, than the current rockets. It is a nerf, but it's still, you know, like lots of people on WoT BLITZ community, lots of players complain about those. And recently I just found out that there is a mod using that technique, using the rockets for a serious cheating in the game. So I'll do it. I'll do the material later about it, because this is not the topic for this one. So we have a slight nerf for rockets on tier 9. Another significant change is T-34 Russian medium tank on tier 5. As you remember, a couple of months ago we had a nerf when Wargaming decided to change all those low tier tanks, and they removed a couple of guns, couple of turrets, you know, they apply a couple of nerfs, and now slowly, one by one, we're just getting back to the old setups. As you could see, for example, on T-34, the HP just grew up again from 620 to 680. Rate of fire, this is for a Top Gun S54. This is the gun that we used to know from extremely quick reload. That was quite significant for this tank. It gives him character on the battlefield, and now we are slowly getting back to the same setup that we used to have. The rate of fire from 711 to 792, so the rate of fire is going slightly better. Reload time from 844 to 755 is 1 second quicker reload. Aim time from 2.3 to 2.13, so it's not that much, but slightly better focus. Dispersion from 0.41 to 0.4 is not really affecting, but it is a nerf. I mean, it is a buff. And of course, just because of those changes, we have DPM changed on regular shells from 11,138 to 1,267. So it's about 100 HP per minute. DPM on premium shells from 960 to 1,069. It's also about 100 HP, and on high explosive from 1,422 to 1,584. Is slightly bigger because, of course, the high explosives they have a big wider range of damage. Of course, you can see all those heavies changed here as well. So I'll get back to this later when we finish with those changes. Another thing, the tier 8 Russian tank destroyer Su-130 PM. This is the tank that we're gonna fight for in incoming event. That's how it looks like. It's something similar to Scorpion G in German Tech 3. So this one have a significant nerf for mobility. If you look at this, dispersion from 0.31 to 0.33, about 0.02. Dispersion factors when rotating turrets from 0.100 to 0.16 is like 50% more, 50% higher dispersion. Engine power from 620 to 465 is a huge nerf, gonna be way slower. And now we have effective power weight ratio on hard terrain from 21 to 16, 21.7 to 16.3. That's a lot. It's almost 50%. On medium terrain from 17.3 to 13.04. This is a smaller one, but still a nerf. and significant nerf. On soft terrain from 8.6 to 6.5. That was slow already, so it's going to be even slower. And speed from 65 to 50 km per hour. So as you can see, it's a quite bad nerf on the speed for this vehicle. And another thing, another significant change, as you remember in the previous, in 6.9, Leopard was badly nerfed. He lost one of the shells in the clip, and also his penetration was reduced. And now I did a couple of battles on this tank, and seriously, you can feel it. You can feel that this tank is now much worse than it used to be. Of course, it used to be a fun tank and a killing machine on tier 5, but from the other side now it's even worse. You know, there's much more problem with penetration. Most of the tanks you can't even penetrate from the side when you attack from the side on the side armor. So it's much more difficult now to play. And now we are facing even worse. If you look at that, rate of fire from 62.8 to 58.2, and then magazine reload. This is a slightly buff, but if we get a slower rate of fire, all combined gonna bring us the lower DPM at all. So magazine is just getting back the fourth shell after the last nerf. So altogether we have DPM on regular shells from 1572 to 1456, is like 100 HP less. Burst damage from 300 to 200, so it's like 100 or less for one burst, for one clip. It's significant. You can feel it. On premiums from 1257 to 1165, also about 100 less, and a burst damage from 240 to 160, and DPM on high explosive from 2200 to 2038, and burst damage from 420 to 280. Can you believe? Almost halved. So I don't know if anyone gonna play this tank anymore, but you know, seriously, it's getting completely ruined. Another important change is the epic Panzer 4G. As you remember, during those changes I mentioned before, when Wargaming changed those low tier tanks, we've lost howitzer on this tank, and there was a couple of nerfs for Top Gun that makes this tank still quite good, but not that effective as it used to be. And now we are getting back again to the old setup, pretty much to the old setup. HP from 630 to 680, rate of fire from 745 to 782, slightly higher. Reload time from 8.05 to 7.6, like half second less on tier 5. It is a nice change. And dispersion from 0374 to 03355. It's not much, but for German tank, of German gun, of course, the German guns, they are famous from good dispersion, and it's slight different, of course, better than the previous one because of that. So maybe slightly better to play. And traverse speed. Finally, we're getting buff on the speed for this tank. On hard terrain from 38 to 40 is a slight change, about 2 degrees. On medium terrain 34.5 to 36.7, and soft terrain from 23.7 to 25.2 degrees per minute. So it's going to be slightly better maneuver during the battles. And DPM, of course, because of those changes with the rate of fire and the reload and stuff, we have DPM slightly better on regular shells from 1192 to 1252, about 80 HP plus per minute. On premium from 1006 to 1056, and of course on high explosive from 1490 to 1565. This one is quite nice change, I think. What else? Of course, we got keep going with heavies and tier 5 Excelsior. Finally, if you play on Excelsior, you probably know that this tank, same like T14, American T14, they have a huge problem with penetration. They used to have huge problem with penetration. There was most of targets they couldn't penetrate, and as a heavies on their own tier, they're supposed to be slightly better. And now we have penetration from 91 to 110. So we have about 20 millimeters plus on Excelsior, which is finally reasonable value for this tank, and bring back his character, you know, bring back a ability to play as a heavy, you know, to take his advantage on the battlefield as a heavy tank. And HP from 770 to 800, so like all those heavy tanks in incoming update is getting buff for HP. Another change, tier 5 Chinese Type 34. It's exactly the same like a copy of Russian T-34 on tier 5, and it's getting the same change. Penetration from 120 to 118, and HP buff from 620 to 680. So I got 60 HP plus 1 or 2 shots plus more. Another very important change is tier 9 Batchat 25T. His rate of fire is changing from 7.6 to 7.9, so this is quite important for that. And magazine reload from 17.6 to 16.6, 1 second less. So for a clip, for all those players who playing on those magazine tanks, they know what that means. Even 1 second means a lot. So this is very nice change for that tank. And of course, because of that, we have DPM change from on regular shells from 2360 to 2460, is like 100. Mostly, even high explosives, because there's not much difference between the regular and high explosives on that tier. And high explosives, they are changed from 2667 to 2782, slightly more than 100. Another change, the French premium light tank AMX 1357 on tier 7, from dispersion during the movement from 0.15 to 0.12, so your gun stays a little bit more focused on the target. Plus, if you playing lots of light tanks, you know, when you shoot during the movement, your aim indicator is spread all over the screen. So considering that's a nice buff for this tank. When rotating the turrets from 0.15 to 0.12, same, and after shot from 2500 going down to 2000. So those changes are quite important for that tank. And then of course, if you combine all of that with the extremely fast shooting of this tank, so it's gonna be much better. I think it's much better to play on the battlefield. Right. Another change, tier 5 heavy French BDR G1B. His penetration, I don't understand that nerf, because this tank, his penetration is already not very good, 135 millimeters, and it's going down to 130, so gonna be even worse than before. And the speed from backward speed from 10 to 12. So this is that's a buff for 1st of April, for April Fool's Day, probably, just to mocking the French tanks, you know, when everyone says that the French tank's supposed to go faster backwards than forward, just to get out of a battlefield quicker. But no, never mind. And then another significant change is really bad news for all those players. They are happy to play Standard B, the European Tech 3 tank, medium tank on tier 9. Very popular, and that was quite obvious, because the last time they Wargaming nerfed the premium standard. That nerf on the premium tank was according to the movement, to the speed, and this time it's more dangerous, more feelable, because we are getting rate of fire nerfed from 6.95 seconds to 6.59. So we're losing about half second of a reload. And that's it from all those important changes. Now, if you look here, all the heavy tanks from tier 5 till tier 9, they're getting changes. All of those tanks, they're getting HP improved, so they're gonna be stronger than before. And it goes pretty much, I just went through that. is divided by the nations, but it looks like basically on tier 5 we have changes about 50, 60 HP plus. On tier 6 about 50 to 90, sometimes 100. Tier 7 goes like here, for example, 1300 to 1400, about 100, 120, up to 150 sometimes in some cases. Tier 8 got about 250 HP plus. And the only exception from that is German Tech 3. If you look here, here, tier 9 motion from 1800 to 2400. So you got about 600 plus on tier 9. E75 from 1800 to 2200, this is 400 plus. And then the VK4502 from 1820 to 2300. So those tanks, they're getting probably the biggest buff. The rest of that is according to what I just said, those values. So basically there's nothing to, no point to get through every single one. The scheme is more or less similar like what I said according to the tiers. Another step is change in a couple of armor profiles. So we start with tier 9 T92 E1. If you click here, the original, I mean the current values is like in here, for example, 52 millimeters, and then consider the angle that the tank is based at the moment is 95 millimeters. And after update, you got 40 millimeter and 75 under this angle. So this tank, the T92 E1, has a slight, but of course on that tier there's not much difference between, it's just 10 HP, I mean 10 millimeter difference between the armor. So if Wargaming don't do anything about that tricky spaced armor on the tank, it's not visible here, but this armor is really tricky. And also even maybe even more tier 10, the last light tank. So this is the first change. Tier 8 T25 pilot 1. If you look at here, the pilot losing lots of armor on his turret. See, on 6.9 is darker and 6.10 is a color is lighter, which means the armor is getting weaker. And if we get here, look, for example here, 114 millimeters, and this angle now is 118 millimeters. And if we check tier 10, I mean the update 6.10 is only 63 and 65 millimeter. So all that on tier 8, of course, depend on the angles. And as you remember, this tank has a nice gun depression, so always been played as as an angled one with lots of spaced armor here. So the turret was quite nicely covered. We got 133 millimeters here, 87, 130, and of course the weak spots 52 millimeters. But then the previous, if you look at the previous one, for example, when you're facing the enemy like this, it was 150 to 220, was much more difficult to penetrate that turret. 112 on the weak spot. Of course, when you manage to hide the hull, it was almost impossible to penetrate. But now we are losing. This is similar like a turret from Sherman EZ8. There was similar problem. T1 heavy, another one. If you look at the turret, all the space around the gun mantlet is getting slightly better armor. And again, if you look at here, it's 83 millimeters of armor now, and same 83 here on the lower part of the hull. In the new update, this one is changed for 140 millimeters, a lot, and then 83 and 84 the same here on the bottom. So this one is a significant change for this tank for sure. And the rest of maybe, let me see if this one's 127 and the new one has 140, so this one is slightly changed as well. So now we got 140 millimeters all over The only problem is that part, because that part is probably most part when the enemy is shooting the most of their shells. So, but if you manage to hide the lower part of your hull, you're getting even more difficult to get penetrated than before. Leopard, that's infamous Leopard. And look, according to those changes that I just mentioned before about the nerf, look at the armor of Leopard. He's losing most of his armor as well. If you look here, now we have 77 millimeters because of angle here. So this is 50, 50, and 50 here. After the after update, is only 30 millimeters, 47 millimeters with angled armor, and 30 here. So it's gonna be probably the most exposed for high explosive shells, and you're gonna get lots and lots of damage. That's horrible, seriously. After all the time that we used to play this tank, that was so fun to play, now it's getting like a disaster. Okay, let's get forward. Panther 2. This is nice change, as you could see. The hull armor and the front of the turret is getting much stronger than it used to be. If you look here, for example, this one, 100 millimeters here, with the angled armor is 166, 60 millimeters here, and then of course 150 and 60 millimeter on the side. But with this angle makes to real armor 300 millimeters. Very difficult to penetrate. And here's 150, 160. Of course, we got a space armor here. And then, if you look on the updated one, we got 120 and 90 millimeters, slightly higher, about 30 millimeters plus. Here, armor on the side goes up to 466 millimeters, and at 79 degrees angle, that's almost undefeatable. And 182 millimeters now on all the mantlets. So gonna be much better to play on a hull down, because here also we still got 90 millimeters. So all this, if you don't get hit in that small weak spot, all this is much more armored than before. And of course the turret is getting very much better. So if you consider the previous slight upgrade of gun penetration, so now it makes this tank even better than before. So now finally is the time to get this tank on the battlefield and use it again to feel it again, all that power, you know, that the German Panther is supposed to give on the battlefield. All right, and so same on Panther 88, the premium one. If you look at this, it's exactly the same change, because of course it's a Panther, only different gun. That was 88mm gun installed on this one, but all the hull and tower and the turret is a normal regular Panther. So this is not much to talk about. Jagdtiger, another change. Look at that. The frontal armor is much better armored now. Plus, the weak spot from here is gone. And of course, gun mantlet with spaced armor and the frontal part of the turret getting buffed as well. And if you look here you got 150 millimeters, 120, and here was 120 millimeters and 250 here. If you look on the new one, now here is 250 millimeters. It's the same like here, so it's much more difficult. So, and all the people get used to shoot in this place gonna be badly surprised, because of course there's no way to penetrate this one with 250 millimeters. That's gonna be much more difficult. And here I will also change 180. It's not much, just a cosmetic change. 120 millimeters here, and 250 on that top of the tank. So that's a nice buff for Jagdtiger. Excelsior, that I mentioned before, this is just a slightly cosmetic change, of course. All the frontal armor, look. These are 54 millimeters, but here we got 114, 114, 114. And in the new one, got 120, 120, and 120, 114. This stays as it used to be. Only the turret and that frontal plate is different. This is 54 millimeters. And the last one, BDR, that we talk about. is now imagine the situation that we just talked about the nerf for penetration of this tank. So imagine now if you get those tanks, two those tanks in on different sides of a battle, and now look, 105, 105, this is 86, and 80 millimeters here, 75 and 80 millimeters, and after the change you got 140, 120, 140 and 120 here. So it's almost impossible to penetrate. If you're gonna be similar situation like with Matildas. When two Matildas stays on the battlefield, they're gonna fight forever, you know, because it's, their gun penetration is not a match for against their own armor. And 75 millimeter here all over. But if you consider the angles here, so only that little part, only that frontal part here and here, only they are penetratable. So this is this is funny on that tank. It's getting buff for armor, but nerf for gun penetration. Right, that's pretty much for all those changes. The next thing, as I mentioned before, in the next event we are getting as a prize we are getting SU 130 PM, the premium tank. So we're gonna fight for this one, and of course slightly nerfed as I mentioned just a while ago. Another thing that we are getting in incoming update, they are camouflages, and we have a couple of new ones like this one, Amazonia, VESUVIO. It looks you can call that camouflage pretty much. AQUAMARINE. They're all most like designs, not the camouflage. I don't know if there is any fan of those. If you can leave, just tell me what you prefer. If you prefer the military ones or those like designer camos like Wargaming is announcing every time. Just write down in the comment. Next one we have VERTIGO, Shady Groove. This one looks slightly better. It looks like more like something like urban camo design from a modern militaries. And Galaxy, and this is the last one from those that we are getting new ones. Also we are getting back, if you remember those camos, that was some time ago, Wargaming removed those camos and now they're coming back. So is this one effective concealment? That's quite actually pretty nice. It looks pretty much like a regular camo, like military camo, which I prefer much better than those designers ones. Ghost, Jade Shards. I remember we had this one, and Digital Forest. This probably is the most urban camo look like, and this is actually quite nice camo. I wonder if where they're gonna add them, if they're gonna be in the stash of camos to use, or they're gonna get them by the prices from the crates. That's a big question about Wargaming plans. All right, and also we have those few of those new, and where is it? Here. We are losing a couple of camos already from the stash, from the setup. Ancient Relic is gone. Evergreen, if you remember the camo that we used to have, we used to get for Christmas, I think. That was Christmas event with all those camouflages. That was something like a Christmas tree design. Iron Will, Frozen Flame, Starling Knight, Area 52, Ice Block, Glacial Armor, Grandma's Gift. That was crazy one, and Cold Blooded. I'm not sure what's gonna happen, because most of us, we still have certificates for those camouflages, so probably we may be able to use them to apply the camo from the certificate, but of course not anymore. We won't buy them anymore from here, from appearance. That would be impossible to use. And that's it. That's pretty much all about incoming update. So thank you everyone for coming. Like I said, if you can, just let me know about the camos, what you prefer. If you prefer the new designer ones, or you prefer the military ones, something like we used to have on for example on Tiger 2, the last one. I don't know whether I have Tiger, but that's gonna be quicker from here. Tiger 2. I mean, whoops. I mean this one. That's a proper military camo. So what's your thoughts? If you prefer those ones, something like a military one, or those designer camos, like for example, I don't know, like this one or this. So if you can just write down in the comments which one you prefer. All right, thank you everyone for coming today. I hope you're gonna find this material interesting and find something for yourself about the informations. Of course, I would like to, if you like my materials, if you like what I'm doing here, you can subscribe the channel and leave the thumb up. That will be huge appreciation for me and helps me to reach more of World of Tanks Blitz community members on YouTube and build this channel up. Right, thank you everyone for watching, and see you next time. Take care.